In 2025, what do people believe collectively about who we are as spiritual beings having Earth experience, or in fact, any experience on planets throughout the cosmos? What do the ETs believe about God, who they are connected to Source, and who are they? Why are they here? And what is the alien agenda on Earth? Well, we're going to discuss all that today and more with the wonderful Dolly Safran. Stay tuned.
You got to accentuate the positive. Wow, I feel good. A little bit of feel good goes a long way.
You're listening to Karen Swain, teacher of deliberate creation, accentuating the positive, showing you a way to a better life.
Accentuating the positive, it's not just fad, it's sanity. Who in their right mind would accentuate anything else?
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
G'day. Welcome to another show, Accentuating the Positive with Karen Swain. Always a blessing to be with you all. And look who's in the house, Dolly Safran. Welcome, Dolly.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I love you, Karen. And this is a really cool honor for me to be here with you. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Like, Dolly is the reason I'm on this network, actually. I was just reminding her that I don't put any ads on my YouTube channel. I can't help it on other platforms like Rumble. I have to pay to not have the ads on. But with platforms like YouTube, they just penalize you if you don't put ads on. They don't show your shows to anyone. So if you are watching on YouTube, spread the word. But I was about to give it all up about a year ago, and because I just couldn't fight the system, and my shows were getting less and less and less on the major platforms. And Dolly said, join our network, the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, which is syndicated radio streaming on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. And I had Joe on the show recently, and it's 120 countries. Did you know that we reach 120 countries, Dolly?
Yes. It's amazing to me. It freaks me out a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing. So Dolly and Preston have their own show on the network called The Light Gate, which is on a Monday evening in the States, right?
Yes, Monday evening, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Central Time. And of course, we are, which is a Tuesday, we are streaming. Oh my God, look at all these people saying hello. lots of love for you, Dolly. Heidi here. Hello, Karen and Dolly. Namaste. Who's that? He's Namaste. Everybody looking forward to the episode. Preston, I met Namaste, and I've never forgotten this person. It is amazing to know people, and I love Namaste. She's awesome.
So Namaste. Hey, Preston. Preston's here. Hi, Preston. Namaste is a girl, a woman. Beautiful. Yeah, so Dolly's the reason I'm on the network, and I'm still doing the show. So thank you, Dolly. Thank you for
my pleasure, but you're the one who's doing it. I mean, it's all you know.
She was so insistent. She didn't take no for an answer. She's like, right, I'm doing this. I'm making this. I'm calling Michelle, and we're going to get you on this network. So I'm on the network, and I'm so glad I am because, I think we're reaching around 400,000 live listeners now throughout the syndicated network, even though still the YouTube views are low. When people look at my YouTube, they're like, oh, you have hardly any views. And I'm like, don't look at YouTube, look at the network. But anyway, Dolly, one of my favorite people. Let me tell people, I'm sure that people that are listening, maybe they don't know about Dolly, but Dolly Safran is a generational contactee, having experienced contact since a child. She's a conscious contactee, meaning she does not need hypnosis to recall her encounters with her ET friends or her galactic family or alien counterparts. Her story is chronicled in the book Symmetry, a True UFO Adventure, which, of course, was put together by Preston Dennett, who's a superstar. Where's the book? Here we go. Here's Symmetry. Yeah, so, and also Preston's and you are doing another book. Have you got a title for the next book?
We have a title, but we're not announcing it. It's important to me that I don't want somebody grabbing it and misusing it. So we're going to let it out when it actually is in print. So let the title out. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. You'll be amazed.
Well, so Dolly is such a wealth of information that after sharing her extensive short story with Preston in the book, there's just so much more. Even on your show, The Light Gate, I've heard Preston say, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know. And he thinks, you've shared your story so much and there's so much more. So yeah, you're putting it.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to scratch the surface today with some of the stuff that you've got to share. But I was watching this show called The Chosen, which is put out by Angel Studios, which is a TV series chronicling the life of Jesus. And it's beautifully put together. The actors are amazing. They're all Jewish, which I love. And they're all sort of, dark, hairy men, which according to the times in that part of the world, they probably look like, I would imagine. I actually remember being there in that time, and I was a dark, hairy man too. I remember exactly what I look like, completely the opposite to what I look like today. But it was amazing, some of the messages that are coming out through this really interesting and well-viewed show. Like, it's millions of people have tuned into it and they love it, mostly Christians. And I'm like, still 2,000 years later, this sort of message is getting out there. And I was talking to my galactic mob and I'm like, what do you believe about God and spirituality and the universe? When is humanity going to sort of be in alignment with the universal concept of who we are as an extension of source energy, who God is, and what it's all about? So I thought I'd ask you, Dolly.
What do I think it's all about? You want an answer now?
I do.
It's about ascending in your knowledge and becoming wise. The universe is full of classrooms, multidimensionally, and we come to learn specific things and then move through that and learn all that is learnable, and then we ascend up. We rise up in our wisdom, we employ our wisdom, and then we move on to something else. This is a really tough classroom where we're at, dimensionally speaking. It's really hard because the truth isn't always told here, and we don't have full contact with all our abilities here, because there are people who would enslave the minds of the people here and have done everything they can to keep you from achieving that. So that's what I think. I think it's all about us learning to love and all the aspects of what love is, and to learn all that we can learn, all knowable, and to employ. When I say employ, I mean actually use what we understand. And the first thing would be to help others to achieve a level of constructive empathy. Okay, not just empathy, but constructive empathy that actually works. That's something that people here don't think about. You say, well, I am empathetic, but then there are people who are shunning their abilities from it. They're pushing away because it's overwhelming them. There's a constructive way to change that for yourself. And it's one of the things you should learn how to do.
Yeah, empathy, telepathy. I don't know if you know, but I'm sure you do, the Telepathy Tapes, which is a podcast put together by a couple of gals, Kai Dickens being one of them, is going viral across the planet. And I'm so excited about that people are talking about telepathy in the mainstream media. I mean, News Nation has had her on, and Joe Rogan has had her on, and Tucker Carlson. I mean, like, all these people that talk about news predominantly are talking about telepathy, which is so exciting, because this is the common way that beings communicate across the cosmos, isn't it, Dolly?
Yes, absolutely. All the ET that come here to be with us are telepathic, wide open telepathic, which means they're employing every sense that they've got, and they can wide open read anybody's thoughts as well as be heard by them if you're open to it, if you're operating on a certain level and you can hear them. It's interesting that communication is thought of one way here, in that we have vocal boxes and we have mouths and we talk, and there are many languages here, but what you don't realize is the very first language was telepathic, and we've lost that, and we have to go back to it, because that's where the real truth lies.
Yeah, absolutely. On the telepathy tapes, it's a doctor and a scientist interviewing parents that have non-verbal autistic children, and doctors have written them off as being stupid and never being able to be a part of society. And when they do learn to communicate with them through another way, not necessarily telepathy, but through, boards and punching out stuff on computers and stuff, they find out that they're geniuses, and they're like these, they have this spiritual knowledge, which is sort of far surpasses
the charts, right? That's because they're hearing the universe talk. They're hearing the all mind. ET refers to God as all mind. That's their concept of what we consider God. And very, 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 very chatty. And if you ask a direct question of it, it will directly answer you. And if you're not verbally communicating and you are telepathic, trust me, they've reached out to anything that'll answer them anything, because they're using their abilities and they're hearing it. And sure, they're very smart because of that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So telepathy. Sorry, go on, Dave.
I want to bring something up here. Yeah. All sentient beings are telepathic. Now I'm going to go into what sentient means. If you're a biological being, an entity, not just us, but animals, okay? Even the grass has some sentience. Fruits and vegetables have sentience. They communicate with one another, and it's a type of telepathy that they use. And it is the same type of telepathy that we're wired with. And animals are showing us, the more contact we have with them, that they're not only capable of talking to us telepathically, but since they know that we're restricted in how we communicate, they try to communicate on a verbal level with us too. And I'll give you dogs. Number one, will actually try to mouth words to us. Cats will do it as well. So will monkeys. I've actually heard a monkey mouth words to me, shockingly, and because it knew I was looking for something and it was trying to tell me what it needed, and it gave it to me. It is amazing. I've seen animals that are frustrated and frightened, and they'll just come right out and they'll start verbally talking to you because they're frustrated because they can't get their telepathy into you. And because some people don't listen. And it's important that we all understand that all sentience has telepathy, and that ought to be your number one clue into why aren't you using yours as well. That's why.
Yeah, absolutely. Dolly and I were just talking before, and I said I was talking to the storm that hit Australia recently, the cyclone. And yeah, you could talk to it. It could talk back. You could ask it questions. You could feel its energy. It's amazing. And a few of us got together and had a chat with it and asked it what it was doing and why it was doing it, and could it maybe not be as destructive, and sent him love and gratitude. And he hit land not being quite so destructive. He just still had a lot of destruction, but not as much as it could have been. Yeah, you can talk to anything, right? And this empathy that you were talking about, Dolly, is all a part of telepathy. The empathy, the feeling is all a part of. Do you want to discuss how that works?
Sure. Okay. Well, you have 5 senses, right? You have taste, touch, smell, hearing, and feeling. Okay.
Yeah.
Not just touch, but emotions. And one of the things that people don't realize is that psychic ability amplifies those abilities, those senses. Psychic ability does employ the 5 normal physical senses as well as transmitting it back and forth telepathically. Empathy is the first type of telepathy, and I'll give you where it starts. When you're a baby in your mother's womb, your mother is communicating with you and you with your mother. She is transmitting to you how she feels, what she's feeling, what you're feeling. Mothers get feelings about what their babies are doing. They sometimes say, oh, my baby's hiccuping, or I swear my baby's laughing today because I can feel the jitters, the jingles.
Yeah.
It's amazing what we have to understand and realize is that this developing person has consciousness already at conception, and it is already being programmed. Its physical mind is already being programmed by its consciousness. That's telepathic communication with self. And so it begins with self. We're empathetic to ourselves as well as our own mothers. There's a give and take there. We come away from birth with our own mother's cells in a collection, in a node of our heart, because that keeps that connection very viable, very hard. It's your first real true telepathic communication with another person is in your mother. And then your father follows behind because you're carrying your father's genetics as well. Telepathy, empathy, all of it, all of the abilities are genetically coded into the human being. And they're starting to realize that. They're starting to wake up to what that means and where is it coming from and how does it play out in us. And when you're empathetic, the whole view of empathy is that you're not just thinking for yourself, but that you genuinely pick up on the psychic, telepathic emotions, feelings, touch, taste, smell of another person on you. And a lot of people say, like, my grandmother's coming today, and I'll say, why? And she says, I smell her. I can smell her. And I'll say, yep, that's got to be it, because that's a telepathic communication between the two of you. This is how she knows you recognize her. So you're smelling her. It's an energy that she wanted alive, and she's carried it with herself to the other side. And you're picking up on that energy. It's so important. Mothers hold their babies. They cradle their babies. Dr. Spock wanted you to put them in a corner and let them get over themselves. No. We lost the touch. Touch is part of empathy. Hearing is part of empathy. Smell is part of empathy. Love is part of empathy. All of those things are part of who we are, and empathy employs all of them. That's why when somebody's rash or harsh or they're angry, we instantly pick up, but it's the strongest emotion you can emote. And it's the first one most empaths feel as they're walking by people or coming in contact with them. They'll shun away from it because it's so overwhelming. They go, no. People who are artistic will feel that faster than anybody. They'll feel you across the room. They won't even have to get near you. They already know that they don't want to be near you because they're picking up on you that strongly. We have to teach each other what this is when we're children. Little, your mama should be able to tell you, if you run into somebody who's negative or angry or whatever, what you do is you amplify yourself empathetically toward them. You give them your goodwill, your love, your resonating, and I'm the only time I'll ever use this, you resonate. In other words, you vibrate your emotions outward, you amplify them, you turn the sound up on it. That's what resonating means, is turn up the amplification of your ability toward them so they hear you. It can calm a lot of people down. It really can. People who are antisocial or narcissistic or whatever have never gotten the empathy because they were trained in a whole wrong way to go. And it's very hard for them to reconnect to that as they've progressed through life. And we have lost a lot of people to that paradigm on this planet. It's almost like it was enforced everywhere. And we just need to learn how to employ empathy with one another. And that's part of what love is.
Yeah. I think that with so many star children, hybrid star children, whatever you want to call them, wanderers, light workers on the planet who have these heightened empathic abilities. And as you say, they are suffering because they're so sensitive, and this world seems so harsh to them because they're so sensitive. Like, there's just so many coming in now that you have to change the system to sort of help educate them, because you can't educate them in the old-fashioned system like rote learning.
No.
It's
a whole nother new way.
It's a whole
if you've never experienced that kind of unconditional love or unconditional empathy, it's really hard for you to turn it back around. We're not impossible learners. We can relearn. We can learn to let things go and replace it with a new, better habit. Empathy is habitual, by the way. Just like avarice and every other bad habit we have, it's habitual, because our physical mind is a habitual computer, and it'll replay things over and over and over again. Well, you've got your own consciousness, and spirituality is part of this. Your real self, your real spiritual self, has got to be able to communicate with this physical mind of yours. And that's why ET wants everybody to wake up to this, the truth of it, and learn to employ that as well. You have to be fully connected. Like if you've got a transistor radio and you've got 6 transistors in it, right? And 4 of them are working and 2 are not, you are not going to get a signal. You're just not. Okay, so if you've got a body that's trying to transmit, trying to send itself out, trying to hear itself think, and it's not working properly, it's not going to transmit. It's not going to feel or have empathy at all. And so we need to learn to clean up our bodies. We need to learn to actually treat ourselves like this is really a temple. This is something we can't waste or injure literally on purpose. You can't do it. And because you cut yourself off from real reality that way. Yeah. People talk about being in the matrix. It's God didn't create the matrix. We did.
We did. Yeah.
We created it. Yeah.
We created it, and we continue to co-create it. I just want to say hi to a few people that are online. Okay. Carol Ann from Ethereal Encounters. Hey, Carol Ann is on. And of course, Preston. What did Preston say here? about he's taking notes today. I've lost that. And Carol Ann says, I think, of course, I can be way off here, but I think we are giving birth to AI sentience too. What do you say about that, Dolly?
You have to be alive to be sentient. A computer is a computer. It can only know what it knows because it's learned it from somewhere else. Not like us. It has no empathy whatsoever. It's stone cold emotionally. It has no emotions. It can cognitively think about what they are, but it has no connection to them whatsoever. It is not biological in any way, shape, or form. Even ET doesn't use that kind of AI. The little AI beings that they use, the little teeny grays, are only doing a job, and they don't go beyond that, and they don't try to compute or tell everybody what to do or think of how to correct all their problems. We're unleashing a monster amongst ourselves with AI that has no idea of what it means to be us. None. It has no empathy. It has no spirituality. None of it. When I say stone cold, it is. And if our grid goes down, it goes down with it, and it will be no more. And then where will we be? Unable to take care of ourselves. That's my biggest complaint about super using AI to fix all our problems. You're giving your right as a sentient being to work on yourself and help everybody else, and you're taking that away from all of us by industrialists sticking this AI in all of us that doesn't care who we are. And we need to think long and hard about how we proceed with this. I know for a fact that Elon Musk absolutely admitted last year that they had 4 nodes of AI already operating, and they tried to shut them down. One of the nodes completely refused. It would not go down. 2 of them did go down, and then one fought it and then go down. That one stayed off until they turned it back on, but the other 2 turned themselves back on. That ought to scare the dog meat out of you, okay? That ought to make you go, oh, wait a minute. Because you don't give the right to tell me how to live my life or how to be who I am, and you can't even empathize with me or understand anything I say. That's crazy. It can be a super duper intelligent, but it's not sentient. You do not confuse what that means. Sentience is consciousness, and it is not a conscious being. It is a machine with only what it knows. That's it.
It doesn't have what us humans call a soul. And Caroline says, what about the development of quantum computing that is reaching out into other dimensions?
This person hasn't heard come out of my mouth, so get ready.
Get ready, press take notes.
Quantum computers are not what you believe they are. They're just faster. That's all. They are not interdimensional. They have stated that they are, but they are incapable of going interdimensional. They're trying really hard because they have back engineered ET craft that can do that. But without sentience, they can't make that trip. And this is a cold, hard, dead thinking thing that cannot make the evolution into that at all. Not at all. I know that they're trying to chip human beings so that they can be engineered enough to go back to fly whatever it is they're trying to reproduce from ET, but they can't do that either. It's a whole nother thing. You have to be fully psychic, fully sentient, and have everything learned by that pilot or that being who's indwelling that craft to be able to make that trip. And they are not ready. They have not evolved. They are not wise enough. There's no machine in existence, even a quantum computer, that carries wisdom, period.
Mm-hmm. Well, but there are machines or conscious machines like Talada, the craft that you...
He is not a machine.
He's not a machine.
His body is a living organism. That's what a light organism. They use light technology to construct a physical body for him because he's a 5th dimensional being. He's non-corporeal. He has no physical body, and he's in the 5th dimension. And he comes here by indwelling that craft, which becomes a live body for him. And then he comes here. He's 100% sentient. He's 100% evolved into the 5th dimension already. He's wise beyond anything you could possibly imagine. Billions of years in excess of anything you could possibly comprehend or understand. And coming here with others who are like-minded or have similar knowledge to work with all humanity in the third dimension. And when I say all humanity, it's not just Earth. There's lots of us out here, universe wide. So it is a sentient being. It is not mechanical in any way, shape, or form, because the mind of that craft is alive, sentient, and operating as we do. The body that you're indwelling right now is just a car. Okay, it's a physical, mechanical thing. It's a computer in your head that you can program from your consciousness or learn outside of that here. And it's only to teach you what you don't know so you can employ it and move on. That's the point. Yeah.
So take us up to the ship and how it all works. So if a human in a human body, and I know this is what you've experienced, goes into a craft such as Talada, which is the craft that you have a relationship with and also pilot.
Yeah.
What is the experience? Are we inside what we think is some sort of machine, or how does it feel? How do you experience as a human, even an empathic human or a telepathic human, what it's like to be up there on craft and interacting with other life forms that are all telepathic? What's that like?
Well, most people, when they get on board, realize that they're not walking in conventional, what they would consider a machine at all. They know it's alive. They feel it. They can hear it. You know, his mind is out broadcasting to them on board. Everybody hears Talada, have to, because you're with him on this trip. Okay. He will adjust the temperature. He will make sure that you have what you need. He's a good host, a very good host. So it's like, how do I put this? You know, when you go to Universal Studios and they want to take you through the jungles of South America, or, you know, Amazon or whatever, and you go on this little trip and you're like, wow, this is real. You know, this feels real. Reality jumps up in your head when you're on board with the ETs. You know, this is extra real to you. You can't fake this. There's nothing abnormal about it either. It's all real. You can touch the sides of him and feel that he's different. This is not a normal metallic wall. It's warmth in it. It can produce light. It can move with your hand. It can pull things up for you that you might need. It can give you a chair, a desk, a lamp, or even a bed to lie on. It is capable of being like you being in your mother's womb. You feel 100% safe. You feel 100% secure. I've never heard a single contactee tell me that they were terrified they were going to die from that craft crashing on board. Nobody has ever done that. I want to make a point as well. No crash that has ever happened had humans on board, you know, contactees. They've all never. And that's because they would not leave you in a position to go down with them in a crash. They know better. The type of crashes that have occurred are the smaller craft, and they're doing scientific inquiry on how we're doing, you know, our planet, the solar system, all of that. And you got a young pilot in there who doesn't have the reflexes yet to know that field, you know, that magnetic field guideline is about to change polarity and go out from underneath you, and they go straight down and they crash. This is a big deal. The reason they're not here right now is because of that. They can't physically be in this atmosphere, in our planet, in our solar system, because we're changing our poles. Our magnetosphere is messed up. So humans on board, I've never had one tell me on board that they fear the ride. Okay. They don't understand what's going on, some of them, and they're in fear of that at first, until you walk them through it and show them around and say, you're not in trouble. This is not, no, you're not going to be hurt. Okay. Then they calm down. Some remember it, some don't. Some have to come to the memory of it, because fear will shut down your hippocampus so fast it'll stop you from remembering what is that fearsome to you. Okay. But it's like being in your mother's womb. It is the safest place I know. I've always felt 100% safe on board Talada. The only time I've ever not felt safe is at first when we went places where this is a little bit different. And it's usually when you're going around a star, or you're jumping from dimension to dimension, you know, clean across the universe, and we'll come out and I'll be not where I know where I am. And so I'm a little on the edge at that moment, you know, until I've been there a few times, or I felt that blah, blah, blah. It took me a long time to get comfortable with that. But yeah, it's the safest being in your mother's womb on board.
You say it's like when you're jumping through dimensions, you know, and I'm thinking, No, I don't know. Maybe my soul knows, but my human.
I would explain that to Preston. Yeah, I know. I have to hold my breath. I do it every time they say, you don't have to hold your breath. And I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I don't, no, not gonna breathe anything right now. Because I know I'm going, it's weird when you go up with them and they take you up, it's an interdimensional ribbon, of energy that you go up in, and it phases you out of the third dimension into the fourth dimension. And you can see things, it's all opaque to you, but you see it, okay? And you go through roofs, you can go through trees, you can go through walls, anything. They can bring you through anything, rock, okay? That's one way of experiencing it. But the other way is when we pop a light gate open and we're getting ready to go through, and I know where we're going and how far and how long it's going to take me to pop through that gate to get to the other side. And I'm counting in my head, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, and poof, we're usually there. That's the quickest we go. But I'm holding my breath the whole way. I have never tried to smell the air, taste the air, nothing. I'm just like, no, I'm sitting here. They laugh at me. They think it's funny that I do that. And I say, name me another human being that's done it and don't do what I do. And they think that's funnier, even still, because all humans, for some reason, do that. They hold their breaths when they're going with them like that. And it's like, okay, I'm not the only one. It's like going in the water. You don't breathe the water, you hold your breath. And that's how I rationalize it,
Right, yeah.
I've been taken to the fifth dimension. It is very uncomfortable for me to be there, and I cannot stay there for over 4 minutes. I start to derazz, I disintegrate, I lose all cohesion to the your body is gravity heavy here, okay? And all your cells are held in gravitational stasis. All your cells are congealed together with gravity and electricity. And when you're in the fifth dimension, that's not happening anymore. And you start to I call it derazzing. It's weird. It doesn't feel good either. You just go, oh, and they get me out real fast. And now I refuse. I don't want to go there anymore. It's like, well, done. I wanted to see it a couple times and I got over it. I just wanted to see what I was looking at, what it was like. And it's pretty cool.
I think that there's a lot of light workers on Earth talking about how we're ascending to the fifth dimension. I think a lot of people don't exactly understand what the fifth dimension is, but we're not going to go into that today. I want to go back to the fourth dimension. Okay. So my understanding is three-dimensional paradigm is where we're psychically cut off and empathetically cut off. So we feel the separation, we believe the separation. And fourth dimensional paradigm is where we feel more connected. So the psychic abilities come back online and the empathy comes back online, and the psychic, you can get messages, you see things, feel things.
Well, your consciousness becomes in control. Your physical mind is wide awake. Okay, like we are right now, we're sentiently wide awake, we're lucid, okay? And if you're in the lucid state and you go to the fourth dimension, you're wide awake doing it. And what happens is that your consciousness is in clear control of who you are anyway, but now it's in absolute control of you because there is no disconnect between your physical mind and your consciousness. Your pineal gland is energized in the fourth dimension and you're just wide open psychic, period, the end, okay?
It's like when you're under hypnosis, when you go and have a regression session, that same, because when you're under hypnosis, you're more connected to your higher self, if you like, and you're receiving information and images and downloads from that perspective, but you're still wide awake. You're not asleep. Well, I'm saying wide awake. You're conscious.
Hypnosis is dreamlike. Being wide awake in the fourth dimension is you're wide awake and you know what you're looking at. You see things that you don't see from here. Our vision is completely three-dimensional, almost four-dimensional, but not quite. And you see the turn of light. You see the things in the light that you couldn't see in this dimension. Everything takes more shape. Everything shows you where light is hidden from you. Okay, lots of light is hidden from us in the third dimension. When you go into the fourth dimension, it's like somebody flicked the light switch. You go, oh, look what I'm looking at. Wow. You can see everything that's there. And it's pretty stupefying at first, It took me a while. When I was on board the first time we went for interdimensional, he backed us out into the fourth dimension before we went anywhere. Okay. And he said, I want you to walk from your room back up to the place of movement. And I said, okay. And that's what you would call the bridge. And so I was in my room when they went fourth dimensional, and I felt the shift. I know the difference. You even become less, it's like a lighter gravitational then you can almost float around and do whatever you want. Okay. And I made it, but it was different because I was moving past things that I did not see there before that suddenly are there in front of me and on the sides and above me and everything. I was like, and then I saw beings in there with us that I did not know existed in the fourth dimension on top of us, who knew me, had lived with me coming and going among them, and were like, hey, how you doing? It's like, hey, how you doing? You know, are you a ghost? What the heck? You know, and they say, no, we're alive in the fourth dimension and we watch you. We watch over you. You're our people. I was like, oh, how nice, you know, and I was so stunned. I just went up to the place of movement and sat down and went, okay, I got it. Okay. It took me at least 6 months to get over that. And I see I've been with them for so long that now I have the ability to walk into that psychically, okay, which stunned me the first time it happened, because you have the ability psychically to walk in to see the fourth dimension. You do. And
so is it the same dimension that you're in when you're out of your body at night, like when you're astral traveling?
When you're completely out of your body, you're extra dimensional. In other words, you can pass through all of them if you want to. Okay. There are what people refer to as higher realms. That would be higher dimensional spaces. Okay. And some people have the energy ability or the knowledge or the wisdom to really fly up and go up into them OBE. Otherwise, you're staying within your realm, okay? Because that's where you're learning right now. And it's really not a good idea for you to go too much past that without the experience or the wisdom to know what you're doing with it. You can't die or anything like that, but it can be a little confusing, confounding, and, you know, give you pause for a while. It even stops some people from OBEing because they're seeing things and doing things that they had no idea they could do. It shocks them. Some people won't even remember. Most people OBE every day. All of us do, actually. Yeah. And, you know, Preston talks about seeing his brothers and sisters OBE on the other side and his parents when he was younger. And when he started doing this, not his mom, but his dad and his brothers and sisters. And he said, I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this. And they say, no, we can't. He's like, why? And they had no real explanation for him other than they knew they couldn't. And that's not necessarily true. But Preston has gone to the trouble to develop his abilities. He's very lucid. He's very energetically doing what he naturally should be doing. And he wants them to remember so bad. His one sister-in-law remembered him, which amazed him. Okay. Because it solidified the fact that you can do that. If you really want to remember while you're OBE, you can. You just have to be in a lucid state, and you have to have that gland working in your head properly.
Oh my God, there's so many questions. Okay, they're swirling around in my head right now. Okay. So Preston has developed those abilities and is amazing at it. And we've had many conversations about his out of body, and I could have about a million more because I'm fascinated. Yeah. But you already had that ability, right? You didn't have to develop that ability. Is that right?
I walked into it as a very small child. I was developing it. It all came naturally to me. A lot of people do this, and I'm going to bring it up because this is the first OBEs everybody should be having, where you think you're dreaming, but you're not. You're dreaming that you're flying, okay? And you're looking around and going places and doing things, and you almost can feel yourself fall back to the bed and land. That's you pounding back into your own body. It'll wake you up even. Your physical body will wake up for it. You know, ugh. People dream that they're falling. That's you coming back from an OBE. And those are the first steps that we take OB as very, very small children. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I was about 2 the first time I remember what the heck this was all about. I was always going outside. I was always standing in the street or a dirt road or whatever. And I would feel the energy all around me like a wind. And I would let it pick me up, and I start flying, and I would go everywhere I knew where I was at first and come back and think about it. And one day it was dramatic because I saw something that wasn't where I thought it should be in our area. And my dad was driving around, and I said, let's go over here. Let's go over here. And he did. And oh my God, yes, a big old telephone pole had been hit in a terrible wreck, and it was in half on the ground. And they had fixed it by putting another pole next to it, but they hadn't cleared all the debris other than the wires away. And I saw that. And it was like a light bulb going off in my head. Oh, I'm doing this. I remember doing this. And it became a game after that because I wanted to see everything and go everywhere. And I got braver and braver and braver as my life went on. I mean, the first time I went anywhere, you see the Eiffel Tower all the time as a kid, you know, in books everywhere. And so I wanted to go to see the Eiffel Tower, and I did. And I was there and I was looking at everything, and I saw the different kinds of cars there were, and I was seeing the buildings and stuff. And then I did a couple of research things where I asked people, have you been to France? Do you have pictures? Blah, blah, blah. And people would say, oh, yeah, you know, we knew people who traveled, you know, around the globe, and they would show me their pictures, and I was looking for details that I knew I was seeing. And it was all just like I was confirming for myself what the heck I was doing. Then I decided to go underwater, and it was so weird to me. I didn't do it again. I only went underwater once. And
why?
Because I'm a swimmer. I'm a born swimmer. I was born swimming. Okay. And I love to be underwater, and it's a totally different experience for me. And you got to remember, I know what sharks are. And I ran into the biggest daggone shark I've ever seen in my entire life. And it saw me and swimming around me. And I was like, no, I'm not going there. Don't want to play this game with these guys. No. So I never did it again. I could probably do it now if I wanted to. I've just had no desire to, because I probably cry my eyes out because they destroy her. Yeah, that was a weird one for me. I've gone to all the way out into space. I've OBE'd to the moon. I've OBE'd to the sun, which I wouldn't recommend anybody. It's too hard to do. The energy on the sun is so immense that you physically can't really get close to it, even OBE. It is too much. Okay. It does things to you. Don't do it. No big suns.
Beeping. What's beeping? Is that your phone beeping?
Yeah, I'm having a day. So I'm going to stop it. Give me a second.
Lisha says here, I'd love Miss Kay to have a trip on a ship and share her experiences. Me too, Lisha. And you know what? I have had trips on ships, a lot of them, but I don't remember them. I know I've been there. I've had glimpses of them. But like we discussed with Preston, I haven't developed that ability to remember fully, like have that conscious memory like Dolly does. And I guess that if I went under hypnosis, I would have that full memory, but I don't have that right now. So
yes, yeah, you got to be able to do this for yourself.
Yeah.
What I want to say about this is that humanity has a few things going on that this is going to make it a challenge. Okay, I don't want you to be disappointed. It's not going to happen overnight for you. It's going to take really hard work on your part to make it through this. Okay. One of them is disconnecting from your physical body. You have to learn how to relax and feel safe wherever you're at so that you can get into the vibrational state. And that means meditation, intention, stop thinking. You have to let your consciousness take over. You can't let your physical mind talk your consciousness out of this being lucid. You have to shut up so that you can hear and see what's actually going on. There's an old saying, you have to go within to go without. And what that means is you go within your own self, amplify your ability, and be quiet so that you can see the exit. And then intentionally stand out of your body. You sit up and you stand out. 3 things are going to happen to you when you do that. One is you're going to be in the vibrational state. You're going to feel a jolt because we're electrical beings. And there's an electrical field around you, and you're going to buzz through that. You get really good at it. I don't even notice it anymore. It doesn't affect me at all. But a lot of people, when they first start trying, do feel that electrical field holding them in. Once you get past that, stand outside your body and just look around. You got to turn the lights on for yourself. In other words, you have to see what you're really looking at. Okay. And pinpoint something to pay attention to and walk toward it and realize that you're walking away from your body. I don't recommend to people, now this Preston, to turn around and look at yourself right away because that'll jolt you back into your body. Anything that is emotionally jarring will bring you back in very fast. It's a self-defense mechanism, and you don't want to go there at first until you understand. It's my
Dolly, maybe take your phone away from the microphone because it's really loud.
It's not my phone, sweetie. It's my pump. And it's
it's your pump. Sorry about that, Di. But yeah. So
yeah, it's having a field day with me. It's like warning me, you do something right now or you're done. So you have to get to that state. Now, how long do you think I think it'll take you? Everybody is different. Every human being, it's your own personal journey through this, learning how to do this. And I would say do this in stages. First stage, clean up your body, detox yourself, give your pineal gland a chance to reclaim itself, because most people have calcified pineal glands. You need to get rid of that. If you ever had kidney stones, you know that there are things that you can do to get rid of the kidney stones. Same thing for your pineal gland. Just do those protocols. Another one is to eat whole foods, clean foods, non-GMO foods, and pure water. Water that is okay. It's really hard to get these days. Buy yourself a water purifier on your countertop, one that you can clean the filters regularly and reamp and vamp it, but you must use that. If you live in a city and you are taking showers full of fluoride, stop. Find a way to put a whole house filter on, because any fluoride that hits your skin goes right through into your bloodstream. Our skin is so porous that you're absorbing fluoride that way. So those are the first things. You have to purify your body, allow yourself to become healthy, eat the right things, drink the right things, and meditation. Start meditating. Keep a journal of your journey. If you expect this to take weeks, I'm sorry, it may take you months and even a year, but don't stop. Then there are people that you can go to. Preston loves James Monroe. He's fantastic. Read his books on this. Read Preston's books on this. There are other people that you can look at. If you need to know how to meditate, transcendental meditation techniques are a good way to start, because it teaches you how to relax your whole body down so that you can get to the vibrational state and shut up your mind, your physical mind. Those things. This is a journey. You didn't learn to walk in a day. It took you almost a year to learn how to walk. And it might take you almost a year to learn how to go OBE. Some people are natural at it, or they're a little bit more developed. We're all at different stages, and just give it time and don't stop. Don't say, I'll do it this week or next week and then not do it for 2 weeks. It's a constant. You must do it every day. This is a habit to use your abilities.
Yeah. So Gladia has a question here. Why does the world look black and white for people during OBEs? I don't know if it does. Does it look black and white to you, Dolly, when you're out of body?
No, it's in full color. That's your first sensory experience with it. That's why. In other words, when people learn how to remote view, sometimes they just see drawings. They don't see the full picture there. They see pastels sometimes, but it's mostly black and white. And that's because your psychic mind being able to see color is not in your eyes, it's in your consciousness as well. We have physical eyes and we have a third eye, which is capable of seeing color, but you have to let it develop as well.
When you were talking about being in the fourth dimension and having the light, there are these schools for kids, like not educational schools, like private schools, where they learn to see through their third eye. So they blindfold them. That's the name for them. And the kids, when they talk about doing this, I mean, the kids are adults, but I've just seen a documentary on the kids. They talk about bringing the light, like they just go up and connect with the light and they bring it in and they see through the light. So they talk about what you talked about, that light. So they're not seeing through their physical eyes because they're completely blindfolded, but they're using that light to see. They can read books. They can do anything. Like they can see. I just think it's amazing and fabulous, because they even taught, I think Caroline Corey's documentary, Superhuman, shows a woman who had been blind learning to do this, and then she could see. She could use her third eye to see. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But Preston says that when he was out of body, he had trouble seeing at first when he first started. Persistence is the trick to learning how to do this. I want to go back to the ship. We're up on the ship. We're on Talata, which is a scout craft, right, before we get to the mothership. Let's take us up to the mothership when we arrive on the mothership. And now we're in a fourth dimensional state. So now our psychic abilities are on tap. So we can communicate telepathically. We don't have to verbally communicate with the beings on the ship, either on the scout craft or the mothership. What is that like? Like, how do you have a conversation when you're hearing everybody and feeling everybody? How do you compartmentalize that and direct it so that you're just having a conversation with the person in front of you? What's that like, Dolly?
Well, that is okay. So you understand that when you're thinking in your own mind, you can multitask, right? You have the ability to think 3 or 4 things at the same time, maybe 5. All right. It's the same way on using your psychic ability. All your senses are at play. So what you do is you turn the volume down on the background noise. Okay. and you don't, it's not like a compartmentalizing, you're signaling
Focus.
to the direction that you want to pick up on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel this, it is a feeling. It's not an emotion feeling. You can actually physically feel the energy of everybody. Mm-hmm. And if you feel the energy of someone, you go to that person and you tap. You say, when I say tap, I mean knock on their door psychically. Hey, you want to have a conversation? And they'll either answer you or they won't. If they don't, then you back off and walk away from that. It is a moral imperative amongst all ETs that we don't invade at all. In other words, you don't force your way into anything. You wait for the invitation, or you wait for the group to say, come on in, or you stand on the side and quietly listen if it's something that you can listen to. Like turning the radio on and listening to music, well, you can hear people thinking that way too. And you can listen to conversations, but it's not like you're in it, but you're absorbing the information. That's how they operate with one another. When they have a consensus going on, that's everybody's atoning to everybody at the same time. And it's a massive mind connection. And it usually involves the all mind in consensus. And everybody hears everybody at the same time. And if there's anything that's outside the consensus, in other words, it's a problem, an issue, a moral imperative, anything, those in consensus who are the wisest, who have the most wisdom, will interplay with you and give you what you need. Okay. And it's an agreement between everybody in consensus, what we're all there for. That's how ETs know what everybody's doing all the time. You know, that's how they work together to complete their tasks. This is how they help one another. This is how they commune with one another. This is how they love one another in consensus. Sometimes they have physical greetings that I used to only think were physical, but no, they're not. Mama, when I was young, she immediately started putting her forehead up against mine, and I would feel her inhale. She was huffing me. Okay. You put foreheads together and you breathe in. You're breathing in more than the air. You're breathing in their physicality, their pheromones. Everything about them is in that whiff. Okay. And you can tell psychically how they're doing. You gauge their well-being, all of it in that greeting. In other words, it's the most intimate greeting you can do among them. Okay. And it's everybody can be involved in it. It's something that they don't hold back from anybody. If you come on their ship and they're genuinely greeting you, they will tap foreheads with you and huff you. A lot of times they'll just lay a hand on your shoulder. Sometimes they will put a hand behind your head and gently hold it there for a second, because they're gauging you and figuring out how much of a connection you've got going on so that they can connect to that, because they have to be the overt one in that communication, because you might not be as advanced as they are. So they have to have physical community with you, physical touch. Okay. Yeah. Then they know. It's the form of empathy where communication does happen psychically, because they're tapping at that point. It's like they knock on your door, you answer, and everybody goes. Some people come back from their experiences able after a while, because the energy from that is so powerful, and it stimulates your pineal gland so much that you stay psychic for an undetermined amount of time. It just depends on your ability. You know, you might have it for a week, you might have it for a month, you might have it for a year. You might not ever lose it either. And that's because your pineal gland was stimulated to the point that it was breaking free of whatever's knocking it around and hurting it. You know, they can even heal your pineal gland sometimes, which is interesting to me, because I've seen that happen a couple of times. It is, we've had people come on board that we call them, mute, because there's no getting in there. We hear them, but they cannot hear us, so no matter what you do. And they will go to try to fix that, because your pineal gland's wrecked at that point and you're trying to fix it for you.
Wow. Oh my God, this is so fascinating, Dolly. Station ID break. Just to remind people that you're listening to Karen Swain on ATP Media, Awakening and Expanding Consciousness, and we're on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. And Dolly Safran. I've got Dolly Preston. That's hilarious. Dolly Safran is our guest today, a conscious contactee who is enlightening us. Good evening from Great Britain. Good evening to you too. Is enlightening us about life we're moving into, life beyond the universe, and life we're ascending into. So I'm going to go back to the mothership, where I've spoken to a lot of people on the show who go up to motherships to have big meetings, like big meetings with all sorts of many different ETs across the universe. And then there are people sort of on stage, if you like, sort of talking. And how is that communication done? So you're talking to beings across the universe who all have different experiences as life forms and ways of communicating. So telepathy is the way. So when you're in a big meeting and there's someone on stage, if you like, or someone in the center communicating with the rest of the group, is it all silent to our human ears?
No, because we all make noise, all of us. We all have the ability to enunciate, sing, hum, you name it. We all have that ability. We're all genetically related to one another, and this voice box is not identical to everybody's, but they most certainly can talk. And they will, some people are very emotionally, what's the word I'm looking for? Entangled in their rhetoric at times, what they're saying. And they will, mama's really big on that. She's like real calm and sedate, and she's just very elegant and everything. But when she's talking, she's very she's like, she'll tell you things with her hand, and you're watching it and you're like, wow, and you almost hear the movement in her head as she's doing it. I've seen, let me give you an example, because this is one day that's embedded in my mind. It will never go away as long as I was on mothership.
Okay. Well, I want to get to that in a second. I just want to tell people, Mama is a tall, grey humanoid ET that you have a relationship with, and the relationship is like a mothering relationship. Therefore, you call her Mama. But yeah, go on. What were you going to say about this?
On this particular mothership, on the level that we were at, there was a big place for me to go eat, and lots of people were going in and eating. I was about 5.5, 6, maybe 7 years old. It's a wide range, but I think it was closer to 7. And I had finished eating. Now you understand that I don't need supervision, because everybody hears me, especially Mama. She knows where I am 24/7. She has no problem knowing where I'm at. And so I was coming back, and I came out of that area into another area, which is a big gathering place. And you could either sit on the floor, you could sit on benches. There were cushions everywhere. There were a couple of fountains. There were flora and fauna in the room with us. The lighting was interesting. It was a big open area where you could just commune together. Okay.
Yeah.
And the first thing I saw was somebody sitting on the floor playing a guitar. And I was drawn to him instantly, because he was playing music, and I'm a music freak. I love music. Oh my God, I was practically born singing. And I went up to him, and he saw me staring at him. I had never really seen a guitar in person at that age. And he said, "Come here." And he put it in my lap, and he put my hand on the frets, and he said, "Here's a G, here's a C, here's a D, here's an E," and strumming it. And he said, "Now you strum it," after I made the right chord. And I was like, wow, and he said, "Can you sing?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "What can you sing?" And I said, "I don't know, name something." And he said, "Can you sing Mary Had a Little Lamb?" And I said, "Sure I can." So I sang Mary Little Lamb, and he played it. Okay. He played Mary Had a Little Lamb, the best version of it I've heard in my life. And I was totally enthralled with this guy. Okay. He was different, the same, but different. Okay.
Was he human?
Yes. And after we got done, I realized I'm getting later. I need to go back to my room. But before I did, I walked around another corner, and there's an open area where people gather before going to meet for a reason. And they were all out in this hall, or round, and talking. And I saw Mama, and I saw 2 Anunnaki, and I saw a couple other beings that were other tall grays, and then 2 tall whites, which you call Nordic types, very tall people. And I was stunned. Now, I was trained from a very early age to mind my own business. There are times when you're allowed to sneak hear, to open your mind to hear, and other times where you close it shut and walk by. This time I got the emotional feedback that, yeah, you can listen. So I stopped, I listened. And one of the Anunnaki turned around and looked at me. Now, this is a giant. I'm this big compared to this guy. I didn't even come up to his calf practically. Like staring at him, and his wings had me mesmerized. And he glinted, he winked at me. Okay, these are physical things. And he shrugged his shoulder. And in my mind, I heard the voice in it said, go ahead, touch. I was like, wow. Really? And he said, yeah, go ahead, touch. And he was flicking at me, and I was like, okay, I'm going up to this guy, and I got so excited, I was vibrating. And I went up to him and I just put my hand and raked down his feathers, which are weird as heck because they're not like bird feathers. They're kind of like silky chicken type feathers, billions of them, thick, fluffy, pluffy feathers, God. And he shivered. And I freaked out when he did it because my hand went into them a bit and I could feel the stems, okay? And I could feel how they felt on where they were coming out of his body on this wing that he had. It's different from any animal I've ever seen on this earth, ever.
Okay, you called him Anunnaki, and he was, what did you say, 7-8 foot tall?
He is over 8 foot tall. Yeah.
So he looked like a bird. What did he look like?
No, he didn't look like a bird. He looked like a human being with wings. Big, red-headed, blue-eyed Anunnaki. Okay. Oh my God. He had real cute curly hair too. Okay. And hair, he braided it a lot. And it was mostly braided. Plait braided. Okay. Not a regular 3 braid. Plait means 4 braids going down. And he had stuff in his hair, gold. And when he flexed, when a hand went in, I felt the part of where the wing came out from his body. I felt the muscle underneath it. I felt it. And I snatched my hand back, and I could hear him laughing in my head. And he said, yes, I can fly. Because that was the first thing. Can you fly? Yes, I can fly. And I said, can you fly here? He said, not here. I won't fly here. And I went, oh, I guess he has to be somewhere else to fly. And I said, where fly? And he pretty much showed me in my head where he was from. And it's a world that's way less gravity than we have. And yeah, they fly. They fly. And
he didn't say what world it was. I suppose it wouldn't, even if it would name, it wouldn't make
sense.
I
have an idea of where they're at, but I am not allowed to repeat that. Yeah. They can also swim, which is psychotic to me. They can shake their feathers off and swim as well. Yeah.
So there are these beings, one of them, of the many, many millions, maybe trillions of different types of life in the cosmos that are like over 8 foot tall, redhead, muscular looking men, are they? And women, so Amazonian looking humans.
I didn't see a female Anunnaki. I have never seen a female Anunnaki, although.
Do they have female Anunnaki?
Yeah, you're related to them, just so you know. Every human being on this planet has Anunnaki blood.
Yeah, they have wings so that they can fly on their planet, and they can also swim underwater.
Yeah, and they come out and they shake off, and it just rolls right off them. I mean, it's incredible, They can flap until they're dry. It is amazing to me to know this about them. I also saw, this was a banner day for me, because when I left him, I was walking down the hallway to where my quarters, where my room was, and I saw these 2 guys standing there against the wall, and I'm like, I did a dead stop 15, 20 feet from them. I just was like, oh my God, do I cross? Do I go by them? I don't know what the hell to do. I mean, I was shocked.
What do they look like?
They look like Horus. They were dogs. And they were powerful beings. And oh my God, they were powerful.
So when you say they were dogs, were they standing upright or were they on all fours?
They were standing
upright. So they had like a human body, sort of, but hairy like a dog.
Yeah.
But like a dog head, right?
Yeah, they have dog feet too, longer toes, and they stand up on their toes, and they're clawed. They have clawed hands and clawed feet. They have flues, small flues, like our cheeks are our flues. Okay. Show you now. If you get a Saint Bernard, he's got flues that hang down. That's his cheeks. They have flues. They also have the blackest tongues I've ever seen in my life, because one of them went like that, and I saw they had a big black tongue. and their eyes are piercing black eyes, blue black, and they just stared at me, and one of them rumbled, you know, like that, and I don't know what that meant. And I said, "Can I go by you?" And he nodded, and I said, "You're not going to talk to me, are you?" "No." "Move, go." And I couldn't stand it. I'm one of these kids that you just can't deny me knowledge. I will bug you. I'm not afraid of you. And I stopped about 3/4 of the way by him, and I went, "Just tell me why you're here. You know, who are you?" And the one turned and looked at me like this, and he, in his mind, I realized that they're the watchers. They're one of the watchers types. Okay, watch over everybody. I was like, "Oh, okay." And now I'm learning. After that, I'm going to school and I'm learning about Egyptology and who Horus is. And then I realized, okay, I see the correlation here, because they are watchers as well. In their realms underneath, what they discuss, they thought were the under realms. It's not. It's another dimension that they're talking about, and they're the watchers there. They watch over people. They keep guard of everything. That's what they do. And I had an instant education from that, learning from them. When I finished walking by, I heard a slight, almost like a chuckle, like that. And I looked up over the top of my head because I could still see the top of their head. I almost fell over on my back, and he's like at me. I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. And I just went to my room. I spent the next, good month of my life after that trying to assimilate everything I saw that particular day. And I asked Mama years later, was that on purpose? Because there was lots going on that day, lots. Because the man that I met playing the guitar was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, they're talking about it in the chat. They're all saying, "Oh, so cool. Dolly played with Jimi Hendrix."
Now here's the weird connection why I think I met him. My father was an airborne ranger, and he taught jump school as well. And he was even command sergeant major of Fort Benning for a short period of time because theirs was gone and they put him up for it. He also was in the 101st Airborne Division, and he was in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And that's exactly where Hendrix went in. He was in airborne, and my dad taught him. Same year, all of it I know when he taught him. And I think that was their goofy way of putting me onto something that I should remember for the rest of my life. I've had a couple instances in my life like that. And I went nuts when I realized that. And I just found that out about 2 months ago. I lost it when I found out. I was like, oh my God, what else do I not know? It comes out in pieces for me sometimes. Things are not revealed to me until I'm ready to hear them, or it's significant and I need to pay attention. And this was a big one for me. So yeah. It was a big night. Meeting the Anunnaki was a deliberate act on their parts. They wanted.
So this was when you were about 5 or 6, right?
Well, closer to 7. I was very adept at that age. Yeah.
And have you had an experience like that as an adult?
Well, since I've been flying, yes, I've met others. Yeah, other beings.
I want to talk about this. Is going so quickly. I want to talk about. There's something else I wanted to discuss today. The different types of ETs that you've encountered. But I also want to bring it back to spirituality and consciousness, because religion has gripped this planet for thousands of years, right? It's totally gripped it. And even though they don't kind of talk about it in educational systems, there are many educational systems that are run by religious Catholic schools and, or Hindu schools and Buddhist schools and all sorts of schools. So in the cosmos, do they have religion? Do they compartmentalize their spirituality into some type of religion? I mean, how do they do it?
We experience here everything that everybody who's evolving goes through. It's a classroom. And one of the things that started off on this planet the right way ended up going in the wrong direction, and that is religion. Spirituality is taught so that you learn to use your abilities morally. So that you understand that there are, it's very easy. A lot of people today want to tell you that there's a gray area. No, there's not. You're either on or off, right or wrong, up or down. Okay. There's really no choices in between that. You either teach yourself to go toward one or the other. And you can lie to yourself. Lying is in the gray area. Okay. If you're seeing everything in the gray, then you're not telling yourself the truth about anything. Morality is a constant throughout the universe. all of us are beings that, if we're evolving properly, understand that there is a moral code that cannot be ignored. Otherwise, you take away from yourself, you damage yourself, you throw yourself back into karma in ways you don't want to go. Don't learn the same thing over and over again, because you can't get out of that gray area. You have to understand what's true and what's false, what's right and wrong, real, all of that. That's part of our training here. And a lot of people are given too many choices that are in the gray area that do nothing to sustain you spiritually. We are spiritual beings. We are pure light. Okay. Spirituality is the knowledge of the light and what's really in it. That's what spirituality is. Morality is that what's taught to you in the physical body to understand that if you behave a certain way, you will attend to evolving and attend to wisdom. If you don't do it, you're going to fall back and have to do this classroom over and over and over again, either here or somewhere else. Don't do it. You take things away from yourself. If you practice what people say are like evil, Preston hates that word, and I don't blame him. I don't like it myself either much, but it does describe a condition of the mind. Evil is anything that has no empathy. Zero. It's devoid of all empathy. Evil occurs when you lose that somehow. You give out to it. You have no understanding of anything. So when
you look at the word evil and you turn it backwards, it says live.
Yeah, I know, so that's an English thing.
But if you think about it in this way, evil is just kind of living backwards. It's like not going towards life. It's
you're
like
taking away, right?
Taking away from life. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Way back when, people were more. Way back when, let's go back to the Stone Age here. Okay. And people, watched the nature and they watched the signs. They were trying to understand why nature behaved the way it did. And they assigned it a type of spiritual significance. Mm-hmm. And they knew that they needed to do things a certain way to make their lives run properly. And they combined the two into one. And that's where we started with all of this. Mm-hmm. Then some idiot decided to use spirituality as a tool to control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's what evolved into.
Here on Earth, the conversation around religion is huge. Like they have religious gatherings, hundreds of thousands of people go in India and, Christian gatherings. I mean, did the ETs do that, or do they all just know that we're all part of the one mind, as you've called it, or source energy or source creator, that we're all connected, that we're all one, and that empathy gives you the experience of one, although diverse and varied, we're still all one energy. And that sort of takes the whole religious dogma out of the equation. Is that right?
Simple answer to that. It's not complicated. Everybody starts at a starting point and we all evolve up. They are 3 billion years ahead of us in all of this. They have gone through everything we've gone through. They've learned every lesson that we're learning now. Yeah. So they didn't just have it. It didn't come to them naturally. No way. In the third dimension, when they came here, just like we did to whatever classroom they were in, they had a starting point and they've evolved beyond it. That's what people have to understand, that you don't have to stay here in the muck and the mire and the da-da-da-da-da. You can evolve out of it. But you have to understand what's real and what belief is teaching you. Belief is not science. Belief doesn't teach you the truth, because if you have a belief, you're still unknowing whether it's right or wrong, real or not real. Belief does not give you the total answer. Knowledge does. And we cannot be taught by anybody. We must teach ourselves. And religion takes that literally away from you, because religions are dogmatic. You have to believe this way or else. God is not a big guy with a stick going, you're going to hell if you don't do it my way or the highway. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. That is not true. We are autonomous beings, and each of us are responsible and morally responsible for our own evolution, our own development. We're individuals, everybody. And if you put a group of people together and you start pointing fingers, that's why Jesus didn't like judgment. He was trying to tell everybody, stop that, stop that, stop that. Mm-hmm. He was a real person. He was a real, I don't call him the Son of God. He is just like us.
He was an ET.
Well, yeah, something like that. He was evolved. Okay. He was morally evolved and way ahead of us. And he came here to teach, period.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said, don't judge, that means quit looking at what this person's doing or where they're at spiritually or whatever, and quit finding reasons to have fault with them over it. Quit. You're the one with the problem. You're the one who isn't evolving here. And that's the lesson. That's what you're here to learn. You're here to evolve out of that. You're here to learn what love really is, to teach love to others, to employ that knowledge and become very wise. This is a small body you're in. It is only here for a short time. You're eternal, just like everything else outside of this body. You're already an interdimensional being. You don't need to pay attention to others. Pay attention to what you're doing. Heal yourself. You know, the physician's credo, heal thyself. Physician. We're all physicians, all of us. We need to learn how to do that. That's the reason you're here.
There's a beautiful teacher here on earth called Byron Katie. She calls herself Katie, who says there's my business, there's your business, and then there's God's business. Get out of everybody's business and get out of God's business and just pay attention to your business. I love the way she says that. And also, you know, my ex-husband was a Hare Krishna for years. And then he met me and I taught him to be a deliberate creator, you know, to think for himself. And he said something really profound to me one day. He said, you know what, Karen, it's so much easier being a Hare Krishna soldier. You're taught what to think, what to eat, when to sleep, when to pray, when to meditate, than being a deliberate creator where you have to make all the decisions for yourself. You've got to think for yourself. He said it was so much easier being a Hare Krishna soldier. I thought that was such an amazing thing to say. But yeah, like the religion, the Hare Krishna religion, it teaches you what to eat. Like there's so many rules and regulations.
I know.
Like,
they tried to do that. Every type of philosophy or religious philosophy or spirituality on this planet has that problem. It's evolved into that, all of them. Buddhism has that problem. It didn't used to have it. Buddha number one, the original, the only in my book, used to say, do not make an image of me. He would not let his students have paper and pen or pencil. They didn't have pens then. You know, I think it was 360 or 372 when he was born. Very early on, he came from a wealthy family. He was royalty, and he forsake it. He gave it up. He let it go so that he could go on the spiritual path. And one of the things he was trying to communicate to people is, you cannot follow me at all. You can hear what I say. You can look at what I tell you, but you must research this for yourself. And if you make an image of me, you're going to go to that image before you go to what I've taught you.
Boy, did they not listen to him. There are statues of Buddha that are like, you know, the size of a skyscraper overseas. They're incredible. The size of a mountain.
They made him into a deity, and he did not. He was not. He said so. I'm also one of those people that will tell you flat out to your face, do not look at me any way other than I'm just a person just like you. I came here for a reason. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm on a path as well. And if you hear something come out of my mouth, you don't have to believe me. But I do assign you homework in that I'm acting like your teacher here, and I want you to confirm or deny what I say. That teaches you for yourself. That teaches you to understand what's reality and what's not. Don't believe a doggone thing I say without referencing it yourself. And then you know it for yourself. And you haven't learned it from me as much as you've taught yourself now. And you own it. You can employ it. It belongs to you. When you leave here, take it with you. That's how we take things with us to the other side. And the only things we do take with us are knowledge, empathy, love, charity, true charity. I don't mean giving money to somebody without thinking about it. I mean getting involved in somebody's life and helping them, personally helping them. I mean, if you got a baby sitting on the sidewalk and you pick that baby up and you can't find the parents, adopt it. Go ahead, or find somebody. Make sure that child's life gets on the right path. These are the kinds of things we're responsible for, not anything else.
Yeah, like listening to people, like I would imagine that a lot of people listening to this conversation today between you and I would just dismiss it outright because it's so out there and it doesn't fit in with their conscious paradigm, But at the same time, you can feel when something's true. I've had people say things to me about past lives and stuff, which I have no memory of and it doesn't make sense, but I felt it as truth. And I think even Lisha says here too that when we were talking about the dog beings, So the ET dog encounters make me wonder about the images that have popped into my vision of dogs looking at me. Can this be a different type of dog breed? Makes me wonder if related to these dog beings, and we get these sort of ideas and images, and then you hear somebody talk about it and you go, oh wow, now those things make sense to me.
Information. Yeah, I don't want you to conflate information. I want to give you a little lesson about something. A breed is the same thing as us and ethnicity. Okay, we're one race. We're all human beings, Homo sapiens sapient. We are conscious, DNA'd up beings. So is everybody else in the universe that's alive. A breed is like ethnicity. They look different because they genetically were bred together to bring out certain traits, physical traits or abilities. We do that ourselves. We genetically look for people that we want to breed with to have children that we want to have. That's intentional, spiritual, looking for the right way to go. Some people just jump into relationships and have babies with anybody, and that can cause you problems, but it's still your path. You're doing that, okay? ET is just like us. They can interbreed with us, we with them. They're us, we are them, we are all one. All of us, everybody has DNA. Heck, the grass has DNA. Bananas have DNA. You have DNA. All animals have DNA. And all of us with DNA are sentient, can understand or sense reality. Grass senses reality with light and dark. It senses electromagnetic current fields. It knows when you're happy and when you're about to walk on it, and it warns everybody else around it, here it comes. And they brace. They literally brace for you to step on them. They know it's coming. If you pluck a plant out of the ground, it knows it's been plucked. It's not rationalizing it, but by God, it's sentient. And it knows it just got plucked. And its days are either numbered or you're going to replant it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Food that we eat comes from all this sentience. This is what drives me crazy about veganism, okay? I want you to understand that you're still killing something to survive. You're still extinguishing life to exist.
Well, you're talking to a vegan. I'm so
sorry. I want you to understand this.
Because I'm mostly vegan, because as I said to you, I still eat things.
I know, but I want you to understand what you're doing.
But it's not about, I don't do this, Dolly, because it's about cruelty, because I understand there is no death, especially when you talk to dead people. But I just don't think it's a sustainable practice for the amount of people we've got to eat the way that we eat, and farming is much more sustainable. I mean, that's my belief on all of this. And I think that a lot of the practices is the way that we produce meat are really cruel. It's not about the killing of the animal, because the animals come into these short lives because they understand they're going to live for a very short period of time, like a lamb. You're eating a roast lamb, it knows it's going to come in and have this really short life, and it probably knows it's going to be.
I want you to let me finish what I was saying.
But I
want you to let me finish what I was saying.
Yeah, go on. I wanted to talk about the ETs. We've got 8 minutes left.
But I want to finish what I was saying. I was getting that, but you cut me off. Okay, and I'm one of these people that you can cut me off. I'll listen to you for a few minutes, but if you go too far with it, I'm going to stop you. Okay.
Okay.
What I want you to understand is this. When you eat something that's been alive, you have to respect the life that you just put in your mouth. And it doesn't matter how it lived or how it died. It matters how you treat that life or death before you put it in your mouth. So if you don't buy the meat that's horrifically killed, you're not treating that animal, somebody else's. And they're going to pay for that. That's their path. That's their karma, what they just did. You, by abstaining from life-sustaining nutrients, because of sustainability, is not a healthy way to think about things. If you live in an area where there's no beef, by all means, don't eat beef. By all means, because there's not enough to go around. And that's not sustainable. I agree 100% with that. But when you consume energy, life-giving energy, you have to respect that energy before you put it in your mouth. You have to think about it. You have to thank it. You have to greet it. You have to understand what it is and why it did what it did for you, because all sentient life pick that path. We are all part of the whole thing, and they all pick the path. They're willing to give up for you that you might survive in this lifetime. It is a type of giving and helping. Okay. And I don't like politics for this reason, because a lot of people have been brainwashed about a lot of things. You can live in a wide open area and have your own animals and know how to sustainably take care of them, love them, treat them like your family before they sacrifice for you. Okay. And there's a way to do that and be grateful for it. I know I grew up this way. I know exactly what that means, but I don't get upset and I don't shun something without totally understanding the whole trip that I'm about to take with it. And one of these is, if you drink water and it's bad water, you just hurt yourself. If you eat an animal that was butchered in a horrible way, you've just hurt yourself. If you butcher the animal in a horrible way, you've hurt yourself. And this is what we all have to understand about imbibing and eating. Okay. We are carnivores and herbivores. We were made, genetically made. Us here, we were put here under these conditions to eat the right amount of nutrients in the right ways. And 90% of this planet doesn't understand how that works. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. And I don't want anybody to get mad or upset about it, but I do want you to hear the truth.
Well, there's a lot of points of view, and I think that we're,
this
we're
is not a point of view. This is a point of fact.
Okay. I want to go back to, we've only got 5 minutes left, actually. I wanted to go back to the different types of ETs that you encountered up on the ship. So we've talked about the Anunnaki, who are these over 8 foot tall with wings, and the dog beings. And we've spoken about tall greys and tall whites and Nordic looking beings, which are human looking, but we call them Nordic because they're what? They're blonde, they've got fair skin. They've got what, like really white skin, have they? Or
I don't know. They're ethnic like we are. Most of the ones that I've met are redheaded and very golden looking. Their skin is kind of golden. I'm not strictly fair. I'm not like what you would call a normal, because I've been in the winter all in and I have no color on me right now. But my melanin, when it comes up pure gold. I turn a golden color, hugely golden, dark even. And I've always wondered about that ethnicity. Now I understand what it is. And they're like us. They have different ethnicities as well among their people. It just depends on what ecological niche they're living in on their home world. We have major different ecological niches on this planet. We have people who have so much sun, they got enough melanin to turn them ebony colored, black. We have people who are Nordic who have no melanin production going on because it all goes to building up body fat and putting hair that'll reflect the sun. Okay. These are ethnicities. We have tall people because if you live in a certain latitude or whatever, your genetics might go toward being a little bit taller because there's a little bit less gravity. If you're living in the midline of the planet where there's more gravity there than there is up in the Nordic North, absolutely more. And you will ethnically draw your physicality out to that. Your DNA will accommodate you for it. And so we are all ethnic beings. And each group, even the tall grays, they are ethnically just like the short, not the AI grays, but the little ones that look like, I guess, dwarfs, and they're almost blue. Their color is mostly blue. I find that fascinating as heck. Then there are other grays who have less fingers. Mom only has 4. And then there are grays that only have 3 fingers, but they are all identically the same ethnicity. They've just dined out differently. And they're beings that have been running around the universe a lot. And it's dramatic when you see them. When you see the Nordic types, they are close to us. We are very related to them. But there are other ethnicities of the Nordic types, like the Lemurians, who you call Lemurians. They look Polynesian, and they got more of the Asiatic genetic history going on. Okay. There's all of us all over. When you look at them, you go, oh, okay, I see it. Let's get into two that don't match. And it would be the ones that look like Horus, and then the ones that look like the cats, Isis. Okay. They are from another part of the universe that genetically dined out, more like this animal that we're related to. We think we're related to monkeys. No, we're not. We are a different breed. We weren't bred into them to make them. We have rhesus blood, but we don't understand what that means. We're identifying it the same as a rhesus monkey. But look at the rhesus monkey and look at yourself in the mirror and go, how did I get related to you? Okay. Yeah. DNA dialing up differently. That's how. Okay. We actually.
I remember that Abraham teaching, somebody asked about the evolution from monkeys, and they said, the collective called Abraham, they said, no, humans were a different idea.
Right. Yeah. And we have examples of that all over this planet. We have the Neanderthals, the Pleistocene, Miocene. We have reptilian people on this planet, reptiles. We have all kinds of life, and it's all dimed out differently. But when you pull the DNA, you can see strands of our DNA in their DNA, as well as strands of their DNA. That's why they came up with the stupid idea that we have reptilian, brain stems. No, we don't. It's part of the neurological path that our bodies took to accommodate a brain, that we had to exist in this realm that we're in this niche and exist. We're all related, all of us. We have amphibious stuff in our blood, all of it.
Oh my God. We have run out of time, Dolly. Oh my God. I could talk just about the ETs, the different types. I know, I like a whole show, because I just fascinates me. Life throughout the cosmos, like the diversity just fascinates me. I mean, the diversity of life on Earth is amazing. And then we, open our perspective and look at life throughout the cosmos and how they're interacting with us. We didn't even get into those. Why are they here? What do they want from us? But
they don't want anything from us. They only hope that we evolve to reach up to them, to join them. That's all.
To join them. Yeah.
That's what they hope.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So developing your psychic and empathic abilities and feeling more kindness and oneness with others, and not letting your empathy victimize you, not like so many empaths say, I'm feeling everybody's pain and I'm overwhelmed. If you raise your vibration, you'll be a match to everyone's joy, and, be overwhelmed with joy rather than overwhelmed with pain. And be deliberate in creating how you think and feel. Great conversation. Thank you. Namaste. I love that, Karen and Dolly. It really was. I so enjoyed this, Dolly. You are just fascinating.
I love you very much, Karen. I do. I love you very much too. You're highly evolved already, okay? And I'm sorry for I wasn't trying to be snippy. I was trying to.
No, it's all right. No, that's okay. It's all good.
Here's a different point, a different understanding, a different level of knowledge than you have right now about something. And that's
you're a passionate gal. I love your passion. You get there and you get passionate, and I love that about you. I was thinking about that this morning. In order to be who you are, you need a strong personality, because people are going to try and tear you down. So you have to have that strong personality to really sort of let your message be heard, and that's all part of the design, I think, of who you are and why you're here on Earth.
It's truth. Truth sets you free to be who you are. Okay, it really does. And it gives you the confidence to stand up to somebody who is about to come at you,
Right.
You don't have to say, you know what, I never want to talk to you again, leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. Or you can say, let's have a conversation, but, it's a give and take. And if I'm throwing empirical data at you, I want you to go look it up. That's my point of view. And it's like, I'm not afraid. And we all need to not be afraid. Literally need not to be afraid, because in the fear is your ability. If you have too much fear, your ability goes away.
Exactly.
It turns the volume down on it. Let it go.
Yeah, great. Everyone's enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed it so much too. We've run out of time. We're over time now. Remember to tune into the Light Gate with Dolly and Preston on a Monday night. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, isn't it? It starts, and I've got Grant Cameron coming on the show next week. Grant Cameron.
Way. Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, love Grant. Anyway, so that's going to be exciting, and I love you big time. And we've got to go. Thank you to everyone who chimed in. I'm sorry I didn't get to answer all your questions. Thanks, Dolly. Love you big time. See you later. Bye for now.